Hey Guest Services team, this is Nolan, your Guest Services pastor, coming at you with this week's midweek huddle. Let's get right into it. The one main discipleship point for this week, and it's coming out of my own personal devotional time, and that is from Galatians chapter 1 verse 15 and Romans 8:28, when it talks about God setting us apart and calling us for His good purpose. And that word call, we can associate to be a few different things. I felt called to veil. I felt called to walk up to that person. I don't know what God's calling on my life is. That's one way to understand call. But in the deep dive that I'm doing in my devotional time with the Lord, that other side of the word call is what God calls us. I don't know if you're anything like me, but there was a time in my life where I struggled with how God saw me, with what God called me. And I thought that I really had to please God, and I thought that I was disappointing Him all the time. But for you and me, I want to encourage you this week that if you want to join me in this deep dive into these areas of scriptures and more, that when part of the time when the Bible says call, it's referring to what God calls us, and what He calls us are sons and daughters. And that's what I want to encourage you in this week, that if you join me in diving into this, that when you go into this weekend, like me, I'm going to be looking at each and every one of you as a son and daughter of God. And I hope that you'll see me the same way. And I hope that every single person that we interact with, God calls sons and daughters. And not everybody realizes that. And that's what we get to do. So as Guest Services, we get to partner in that process and helping people realize that they're sons and daughters, because we'll treat them that way. And that's so cool about what we get to do. And though we're called to Guest Services, those of us that serve on this team, but we're also called sons and daughters. And so we are sons and daughters called to Guest Services to help people get to church and help them have a new and fresh experience and engagement with God on the weekend. And so that's what I love about Guest Services. The two big announcements that I have for us this week are this: Sisterhood registration is now open. We have 4 Sundays between this upcoming weekend and when Sisterhood happens on February 8th. The other announcement that I have is for Planning Center. This past week we had about 84 people that were on the schedule, but we had over 109 people just show up to start serving, which is awesome. That makes it like 7 weeks in a row that we've had 80 to 90 people on the schedule, and then over 100 people total show up to serve. This is great on a couple different things, and then it's a coaching opportunity for me and for you going into the weekend. We want you all to sign up to serve. We love that you're showing up to serve, and we don't want to discourage that, because I believe in that. What I think will help us moving forward is, if you plan on serving and you're not on the schedule, let us know. Go into Planning Center, open your app, go under My Schedule, and click on an opportunity that you see available in Planning Center, and then just sign up for that spot. And you can go ahead and do that ahead of time. If you don't have the Planning Center app yet on your phone, it's free to get, and we'll definitely help you get set up with it, so that way you know how to get logged in and sign up. The one thing I want you all to be praying about, and this is kind of our shout out for the week, is for our new host team leaders. So you might identify and know these women as team leads, but as we move forward into 2019, we're trying to build up a really solid infrastructure of Guest Services, and that includes Julie in the auditorium. She's our auditorium team leader. And then we have Kristen, who's partnering with Catherine Hornsby as our cafe team leader. But the women I want to shout out to for Peoria and for Bloomington. Peoria, our host team leader, our Guest Services person that kind of oversees all the stuff in Peoria for me and for Pastor Matt, is Jill Naylor. So we love what you're doing. Keep up the great work, host team leader. And then for Dina and for Dana and for Dara and for Crystal and for Sally and for Kim, they are our host team leaders for Bloomington location. And so I'm going to be pouring into them and encouraging them and coaching them to be the best host team leaders that they can be, and then be praying for Vail Church as a whole as we just knock out this year for the Lord and do amazing things for Jesus. I look forward to seeing you this weekend.